Ahoy sailors, welcome to maintenance day on Bluebird. As you can see, it's raining outside and there's no chance that I want to go sailing. So instead, I want to do some maintenance. My task today is to do some service on the engine. I want to change the gear oil, the engine oil and oil filter. But first I will introduce you to my Nanni Diesel engine. It's hidden here under the stairs on the boat. There's not much space on a sailboat for an engine, but this Nanni Diesel has some advantages. Most of the service things are placed in the front. For example, you have the fuel filter here, you have the oil filter here, there's the water pump with a small impeller inside, it's a Johnson pump, you have the rim here, and you can tap the oil, like take out this plug, and then you have a pump installed on the engine. It's really convenient. So today I will change the oil. The model is a 3.75 HE Nanni Diesel. It has 21 horsepower from 3 cylinders. It has been running for around 900 hours and was installed in Bluebird in 2002, just 1 year before I bought her. Originally the engine is a Beta 20 used for small bobcats. This is the most difficult part, because when you take off the oil filter, all the oil is gonna drip. So I use a plastic bag to cover it up. So that's the old oil filter. And then I have a new one, exactly the same. It's an original from it's meant to be for a Mazda from the 80s, cheap product. I take some of the old oil on my finger and just put it on top on the rubber sealant here, and screw it on again. And not too tight, just using the hands. Just to have this oil on my finger here. So that should be it. I always wipe away all the spilling oil, because if there should be a leak here somewhere, it's hard to find if there's oil spilling from something else. I think it's important to keep a clean and dry engine. Then you can always see if there's a leak from the water system. Some of the oil system is leaking, or like a sealing from somewhere else. And now there's just one important thing missing before I turn on the engine, and that's putting on some new oil. I have it standing here. So that's the old one, that's the new one. It's just some cheap oil I just bought in, I think it was in the supermarket. It's not a high performance engine, and I changed it before I run the 200 hours anyway, so I think it's got enough for my purpose. I can't remember how much oil it takes. I think it's around 3.5 liters. I think I better take a look in the instruction on the manual before I pour everything in it. Okay, that was the oil change. Now I want to change the oil on the gearbox. It's a little more complicated because the gearbox is hidden behind the engine over here. And I just changed to some more convenient clothes for crawling around in this dirty area behind the engine. For getting access to the gearbox, I have to take this part of the engine box away. And the engine box is made in two parts, and this one is a little more complicated because it just fits very perfectly. So, but with a little technique and the right grip, it's possible to lift it out. Okay, now the engine is fully exposed. You can have some light here. And that's the gearbox down here. That's the thing we're gonna work on now. That's the gearbox, and that's the oil plug. For sucking up the oil, I use this pump. Put a tube on it and put it into the drain hole or the filling hole of the gearbox. Okay, when I'm down here anyway, there's a thing on the engine that's also important to check, and it's here on the exhaust. It's this bolt here. It's going into the exhaust, and it's a sink part that will erode when the salt water is going through the exhaust here, and it will erode instead of the cooling part of the engine. So I'm gonna pull this out. I just loosen it, and it looks like this. Gonna take it out here, and it's a normal bolt, but inside there's a sink in the middle that can corrode, and this one is 2 or 3 years old, and it still looks pretty good. So I just install it again. Okay, now the next job is to tighten this rim. You can see the clearance is too big. It should only be like 1 or 2 centimeters. But it's a little worn, and this is the place where you tighten it, and you can see it's almost at the end. So I don't know if it's gonna be tight enough, but it's better to give it a try. I'm gonna find some tools. Okay, now it's possible to see. Now it's really loose. If I press it this direction, it's getting tight. That's a little too tight. So, a little too loose maybe. That's perfect. I just tighten it again. Before I start the engine, I just check the oil level if it's correct. It's a little hard here, but It's hidden on the side. It's this red handle. I don't know if you can see it. Just pull it out. Wipe it off.